Hello traders and welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 25. It's Iliya here, and as always we're gonna have a look at how the market developed this week, what opportunities did we have, and as always we're gonna try to make a prediction for the upcoming week. So it has been a nice week, although we had a lot of manipulation on the lower time frames, making it very difficult to get an entry, but overall it was a nice week as we had a lot of fundamentals as well, which drove the price nicely. So if you're new to this channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button first before going to watch the video, and if you did, let's go to have a look at the market. As always guys, we're gonna start by breaking down the DXY, the US dollar currency index. So first, having a look at the daily, we kept saying that this price action was very ascending, and we had a nice breakout here of the trend line and a very nice break of all of these structures here. Then price action suddenly found support from this area. You see it pushed to the upside to create a very nice lower high here in expectations to create a lower low. But we can see that the market failed to break this area, resulting in a double bottom, and price action broke to the upside, breaking this potential lower high. And currently it looks like that the market is pulling back on the daily to create a higher low. So having this information from the daily, we can plot a Fibonacci, and we can see that around 50% here, and the 38.2 corresponds with this area. However, when we drop down to the hourly time frame, we can see that the structure is starting to shift, right? So we had this kind of consolidation here. You can see a little triangular formation or wedge, however you like to call it. I don't use those formations, but I just saw that the market was failing to break above this area here at 98, around 98.45. And we saw some manipulation here, a lot of wicks, a lot of consolidation. And then on the 14th of November, we saw this massive bearish angle finally telling us where the market is going to go. I had this area plotted in, and I just wanted to see the market break below, retest, and continue to the downside. And absolutely this happened. So currently I am looking very bearish on the DXY, but this is from the 4-hourly time frame, and just because I'm a day trader, I keep following the 4-hourly time frame. But guys, make sure to know that on the daily, price action has pushed and it's currently in a pullback phase, so we might start having some support around this area. Let's check the 4-hourly. Yep, you can see this is a very strong area, resistance break, retest, second retest, and a massive push to the upside. So this is an area here of a lot of interaction. So if price action comes down here, starts to find a lot of support, and let's say starts to push to the upside to create a lower high, but then fails to create a lower low, that's when I will reverse my bias to buy bias. But for now, I am sell biased on the DXY. Let's see if Euro USD confirms that. Having a look at EU daily time frame, absolutely perfect opposite correlation to the DXY. So we see this descending trend line here getting broken, price action pulled back to retest this daily area. You can see it found very nice support, tried to push to the upside, but again we can see here that price was failing to break above, right? And then price action pushed massively to the downside, resulting in a lower low. It broke this structure, so this is a lower low. And currently, this is looking like it's pulling back on the daily to create a lower high. So we're looking for a higher low on the DXY, and here we're waiting for a lower high. If we put a fib, I think price action is still too far away. Yep, actually approaching, it's exactly the same. We have the 50 and the 38.2% zone here where we might have the pullback. So dropping down to the 4-hourly, keeping in mind the daily, deleting the fib. So we have this zone here, right? So this is a very strong zone of interaction, which I'm going to keep, and probably we can label it daily zone. But just checking the price action here. So I warned my team that this price action was getting very exhausted. You can see that price action is creating lower lows and lower highs, but just looking at this price action here, it is not very impulsive, right? You can see how slowly it tries to grind down. While here, look at those impulsive pushes, clear pullbacks, and while here it just started to lose steam. So I told my team, don't go shorts on EU. just because on the daily time frame we're very overextended with this push, and we should expect to pull back. And just monitoring the 4-hourly time frame, I was seeing that price action was starting to slow down. And here we had a very nice bullish engulf, a little pullback. That was a perfect buy opportunity actually here. If you just look carefully at structure, it broke this lower high, retested it perfectly with this 4-hour little spinning bottom here, and a massive explosion to the upside, breaking all these structures. So currently, opposite to the DXY, I am bullish on Euro USD. If it pulls back a little bit for a higher low, I will buy this market, but I will make sure to be aware of the daily time frame. That price action may come back here into 1.1080 and give me some sort of rejection. And similarly to the DXY, if price action pulls back, then fails to create a higher high, creates a double top, then I will start looking for short opportunities. We have Euro Yen here, daily time frame. So let's observe this price action. We can clearly see on the daily time frame that this was a big higher high here. And from the daily, we can see that this price action is ascending, right? So this was the low, high, higher low, and higher high. But scrolling here, scrolling down and zooming into price action, I can see that this price was staying in a consolidation for a very long time. Then we had the break and we had the perfect retest, probably seen better on the 4-hourly or hourly. So looking at the daily, this could be a higher low, right? So if I pull a fib, this is about 50%, I would say. Yep, exactly 50%. You can see the 1, 2, 3 formation. So this could be starting to reverse to the upside, very similar to EU. Looking at the 4-hourly, you can clearly see the consolidation here and the break and the retest. Perfect short opportunity after we saw that the price action was starting to decline already in the range. Yep, we can clearly observe the lower highs. Although it failed to break below and create lower lows, we were seeing who was in charge of this market. So currently price action is pulling back quite impulsively, I would say. What I will be looking for, this market is still short for me. So if I delete the big rectangle here and I focus on my major areas, so I would take this kind of zone here and I will monitor how price action approaches it. If it starts to reject it, I may take another short, but looking at EU and how bullish it is, I can probably wait for price action to pull back a little bit around this kind of areas here, liquidity areas, pull back, find some sort of support, and I can ride this pair up to this zone. So this is a very good, I would say, yep. So it's around 80 pips. So you can really capitalize on those 80 pips if price action gives us a slight pullback for a higher low, and then we can look to ride this market up to the upside. So this is my analysis on EJ. Although the market consensus is down for now on the 4-hourly, we have the daily dominating with this bullish structure and possibly a pullback here for a reversal formation, higher low, and continuation up. Aussie USD daily time frame, it was an interesting pair this week just because we had here 3 days of consolidation and a very hard situation to get an entry on. So we observed that price action was failing to break below this area, a massive demand zone, push to the upside. Then we saw the decline here. We had a little consolidation here on the 4-hourly. If we switch down, then we can see with this daily closure below that indicated a lot of selling pressure and continuation to the downside. So we had a head and shoulders scenario here. As you can see, left shoulder head. I expected price action to pull back for a light right shoulder, but it didn't happen. So having a look at the 4-hourly, we see the consolidation, we see the break, right? But we didn't see a retest, and we just had this kind of choppy price action here, right? Which was descending, making it very hard to get an entry. So I wanted to see a pullback here around this area, but it actually didn't happen, and the market continued flushing to the downside very massively without giving us an opportunity to enter. So having a look at the 4-hourly, I think this market is still bearish. Just to have a quick look on the daily time frame, we see that the market closed below this higher low, a massive daily closure below, and it's looking like it's trying to retest it right now, which is absolutely perfect. So I am still biased on AU, but I do not exclude the possibility of it reversing to the upside as we're looking on longs for EU. So let's see if this happens. Currently, I'm very interested in short opportunities. I can just mark some sort of a major zone. We can see here a lot of interaction, break, retest, continuation. So possibly even around this little zone in here, we can expect the pullback. And if I start to see that price action is forming some new structure here, which is going to be a lower high, I will be interested to take a short trade on AU. Very similar to AU is AJ. Here we're having a look at the daily time frame on this pair. I can see that the overall kind of consensus of this market is up. We have this ascending trend line, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 kind of, and we can see that on Friday we had a bullish reaction. However, looking at this market, we can see that this ascending trend line here was broken and we had a lot of consolidation here. I would say it looks like a channel or a wedge. So dropping down to the 4 hourly, which is my favorite time frame, I can observe that this price action was just getting bearish, right? We had a look at this zone for quite some time. We had a member of the community take a long from here, which was just brutal with this 1, 2, 3 formation. However, he managed to get in here just following structure, guys. So we had a high, a higher high, pullback, immediate an equal retest here of this higher low and a massive push to the upside. Then we observed a break below, a retest, and a massive continuation down. So unfortunately, I couldn't manage to get into this trade. But looking at it right now, so if I use this as my main structure, we can see a massive push to the downside, and currently price action is pulling back. So if we plot a fib, this is actually approaching the 78.6, so it's quite a massive pullback, but we saw some bullishness on all of the pairs like EU, EJ, and AU, which is causing Aussie JPY to move to the upside as well. So just looking at the structure, I am sell biased still until I see the market pull back for a higher low and continue to the upside. But for now, I want to see the price action start to consolidate a little bit in here to form a lower high to really tell me that there are sellers here willing to sell, and that's when I'm gonna take a short opportunity. NZD USD daily time frame, interesting price action. So breaking down this chart, I would first mark this very strong supply area. Make sure to have it on your charts because currently we're approaching it. And to the downside, we have a very strong demand area, but we don't need it for now. So looking at this, we had an ascending trend line here. Price action was trending up. Then we created this double top formation and we broke below the trend line, indicating sell bias, right? So dropping down to the 4 hourly time frame, what we observed is very nice descending structure here, lower low being created, lower high. This was a perfect short opportunity here. Price action pushed to the downside, but failed to create a lower low, right? And then we had this massive explosion to the upside. And this was a perfect opportunity on Friday here because we had a break of the structure, a retest, perfect signals here, a little bit push up here and then come back later to retest to grab some more liquidity and gave us a nice buy signal here. We had members of the community taking this trade. So a very nice trade. I was looking for longs, I think, around this area here because I was seeing that price action was creating higher highs and it pulled back down here. We left a lot of wicks, but then when I saw the break, I was sell biased on this market. So deleting everything, what do I expect for the next week? Well, we can just mark our major areas currently. So this is our major resistance area, and I can see that this zone was respected pretty well. So price action is currently in between those two zones. So what I want to see is if price action is going to break this zone for a bullish bias, if it's going to find resistance here for a sell, and if it's going to continue down for sell bias. So we had a lot of possibilities here. So I will make sure to let Monday play out to tell me what is going to happen with this market, and probably then I will start striking the market on Tuesday and Wednesday. NZD JPY, which is a favorite pair of mine, has been consolidating for quite some time. If we just have a quick look, it has been consolidating for almost a month. So what can we do on this chart? We can just plot our daily levels, our daily zones, supply and demand. Very simple. Then we drop down to the 4 hourly. We can see from where price action is reacting to. And what I would advise you guys is to wait for a break and retest, or just the breaks, because looking just at this price action, we tried to guess some setups. We saw this descending price action here and we thought it's going down. But when price action entered into the demand zone, it exploded to the upside. Then it bounced from the top here back to the downside, and again it's bouncing up. So really, I am not interested in trading this pair until it breaks out of this consolidation. So we have to be patient and wait for it. That's on NJ. USD JPY was a very profitable trade for me this week. So we are having here on the daily a very nice ascending price action. Here we see 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and currently price action tried to break out of the trend line, but we're seeing right now that it kind of gives us a little bit of a bullish hint. So looking at this price action, I will mark my daily level. So this is the level that price action found resistance and pushed to the downside. And here we have some sort of a daily higher low. Price action pushed massively to the downside, and on Friday we observed bullish action. So my short was taken from around this area here. You can check my video. I created a specific video on how I took this trade. So looking at the price right now, I think we're still sell bias. Although on the daily we're super bullish, until I see a shift of structure, a change of structure, and new higher lows and higher highs, I will be selling this market. So trying to identify a zone of interest, this will be my zone. So price action is currently pulling back. We have 2 4-hour candles of rejections indicating that this zone is being rejected. So on Monday, if I see some more price action here, price consolidating a little bit, telling me that there are people selling here, I may look for another short opportunity. We fulfilled the Fibonacci level here. We had a nice Fib, something like this, 61.8%, and you can see we fulfilled the 62. So currently we should be shifting for another Fib setup, which may look like something like this. We can see we're perfectly into the zone here of 61.8 and 50%, and the 27% extension perfectly aligns with this low. So I think there is still some downside potential on EUJ, so let's see if it happens. USD CAD daily time frame, we had an amazing opportunity here, but unfortunately it was on Friday, a day I usually don't trade. So we observed that this price action was ascending to the upside, but we knew that on the daily time frame this price action should go down because this leg broke this higher low formation, indicating that this price action right now is bearish. So I kept telling my team to wait to see when price action is going to reverse, because a lot of people tried to sell this market, but they failed. Then we observed that price action was finally failing to break above a level. Then we had the break of the trend line, and this here was our perfect sell opportunity. If we drop down to the hourly time frame, we saw some sort of manipulation here. 30-minute we had an entry, and even if you are able to drop down to 15 minutes and 5 minutes, you would have gotten into a nice trade, just because this price action broke up the trend line, broke this area, which kind of came back to retest, but not very perfectly. But we knew that this was a break, this was a retest for a lower high, and this price action is currently starting to flip. And I think we're gonna reach some major areas on this market. The first one I will be targeting in this one, around 1.32, and I think that this market has a lot of downside potential. So for next week, guys, I will make sure to get on a short trade on this one, possibly on any sort of a pullback, just because I think that this will turn into a massive swing trade. So let's see if that happens. Let's make sure we get high. We sell high, not kind of jump here. Just because I told you that this is going to flush, this does not mean that we're gonna sell immediately. We always wait for pullbacks and to sell high. Let's see if it happens. USD Swissy, I would say this price action is very, very choppy. So if we just carefully look on the daily, we can see a zone here where price action respects quite a lot. So we see support, support, support. If we have a careful look as well, we have to the upside. Oops, we have a supply area here on the upside. Looking at price action here, this looked like a lower high. Price failed to make a lower low, then made a higher high, and this looks like a higher low. Very confusing price action. So looking at this, the most recent price action, I think it's ascending. So this tells us that this should go up. But having a look at the 4-hourly time frame, we had massive sell opportunities here. This was the first. Here we have some consolidation. Price action made a lower low. And on Friday, we had a retest of this area and a push to the downside for another sell opportunity. So this looks like an inverted head and shoulders currently. So how am I going to trade this market? Well, I think I'm just gonna stay away from it, just knowing that on the daily price action is very, very, very confused. We have bullish waves, bearish waves, bullish waves, bearish waves, not really trending market. So I will just mark this zone And if price action comes back to test it and leaves me some rejections, I may look for a short opportunity. And if price action breaks it and comes back for the retest, I will look for buys. So I will just make sure to stay with the flow of the market and not make any predictions until I see clear price action. GBP USD daily time frame. So I haven't touched this pair since a very long time. Having a look at this market, after this very impulsive push, we're having some sort of a correction here. It looks like a flag formation, right? So looking at the daily, it looks like price created a lower low, and this is currently a pullback for a lower high. If we plot a fib, we can see that it's perfectly at the 61.8%. So is this a short? Is this a long? If we drop down to the 4-hourly time frame, I told my team to wait for the breakout of this corrective pattern because we had a push to the upside, flag formation, and I said if you see the breakout on the hourly time frame and a strong close below, you can take a long position. We had the breakout, we took the long position, and we managed to nail a nice around 2.5%. So having a look again at the 4-hourly time frame, we see that this price action is starting to look like an uptrend, right? We even have a trend line here. So what I want from this market is to see how it reacts around this area. If we pull back, if we find support, I will look to buy this market. But if we start to break below and close below this area, I think I will reverse my bias to sell bias, just because on the daily time frame, this looks like descending price action to me. However, it looks like a flag formation, very similar to what we saw on the 4-hourly time frame. And if we see a nice breakout above, we can look to take a long opportunity. So currently, my long lines are drawn very kind of, but we're seeing a little bit of a close above here. So let's see if it pulls back first, then give us a nice indication of buyers here, and then we can take a long opportunity. Having a look at GJ quickly, this market has been consolidating for quite some time, and I'm not really interested to trade this. So this is your consolidation, guys. I will just advise you to wait for a break and retest. Nothing else, nothing more. And having a quick look at Euro GBP, I would say the most ugly pairs, the most ugly pair of all. So having a look at the daily time frame, we see just choppy market. After the strong push to the downside, price really doesn't know what to do. We're kind of sitting here at a strong demand area, although we still have some downside potential. But having a look at the 4-hourly, we had a breakout of some sort of structure. It is very difficult to find structure here. You can see breakout, retest, continuation down, but looking at this structure currently, this is just a non-tradable pair. So I would advise you to stay away, especially from Euro GBP. GJ is not good. GU had some nice movements this week, but I will just tell you to stay away from the GBPs as much as possible. Let's check what is happening with gold. So on gold, we had a massive push to the downside. With the trade war optimism, we saw that the safe haven gold started to sell, and we saw a very nice push to the downside. So dropping down to the 4-hourly time frame, we wanted to short this market around this area, but we saw that market broke above, kind of throw a quick retest here, then broke below, and currently is retesting. So it's very confusing, the current price action on gold. So how I would mark up this pair is I will mark this high here. Why? Because it looked like price action was trending up, and currently it's looking like a very minor head and shoulders formation here. If I drop down to the hourly time frame, you will see left shoulder had some sort of a right shoulder here. So are we sell bias or are we buy bias? I can see higher high. This could be a higher low, right? Because if we observe carefully, this could be our last higher low, because this is when price pushed, pulled back, pushed up again, pulled back. So I will wait for price action to reach the major area here. If it leaves me some rejections, I will start looking for sell bias for shorts. If it breaks above, I will start looking for retest for longs. And if you want to be most conservative, wait for price action to show you that there are sellers here, and possibly then look to join the overall trend. But overall, the consensus of this market is down. A lot of people are selling. We broke out of this consolidation. We tapped actually 1450, which has been a very long-term target for me personally. You can see 1450 tapped to perfection, and we immediately saw a reaction here, 1, 2, 3, and a nice pullback to the upside. We can observe this daily Fibonacci as well, which perfectly tapped the 38.2, but we still have some space to the upside to come into this very massive area. You can see how price action is respecting here, and if we drop down to the 4 hourly, we see the reaction. So price action may break this, come back for a retest, and go into this zone, and from this zone this will be our highest probability setups for shorts. So let's make sure to carefully monitor the flow of the market, how it's going to open on Monday, and that's when we're gonna decide what to do. Let's wrap up the video by having a quick look at the indices. So this price action is just really pushing to the upside without stop. It's creating new all-time highs, so it's pretty difficult to get on a trade on this one. So we were seeing that this was starting to slow down a little bit around this area. We were seeing some ascending price action here, a little bit of a break, but we still observed that price action was failing to create a lower low, which was the biggest indicator that this is still going to push to the upside. And then we had the breakout, we had the quick retest, which would have been an amazing entry probably here on the 30-minute or 15-minute, and this is still continuing to push up. So how I would like to enter on this pair, I really want to see a clear pullback down to create a higher low, and then I will be looking to ride this pair up. Having a look at US30, it was very beautiful. This pair was creating much better structure. Why? So we saw that this price action was failing to break this area, but still, if you have a careful look, when price action pulled back here, it failed to create a low, found support here, and massively pushed to the upside. Then price action pulled back around this area to retest it, threw some amazing wicks here, too much to the downside, but we saw that price was always closing above this zone, which means that it was a perfect retest, and we had a nice explosion to the upside. So again, adjusting my zones, this even got retested perfectly and pushed to the upside. So those pairs or indices perfectly respect market structure. So if you are able to read it carefully, if you're able to drop down to the lower time frames and to implement the market structure knowledge, you're gonna nail very nice trades on those indices. So this is for this week, guys. I really hope I will get you prepared for the week ahead. I think it's gonna be a nice week, but we just have to let Monday play out to see when the dollar is going to take direction, actually which direction is going to take, and then we're gonna see how Euro USD and all of the majors start to develop, and probably I will start striking the markets some days ahead, so for example Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So you should not have any rush to enter in market open, because on Monday, like, the banks are waking up and they start to adjust their positions, so no rush. If you enjoyed this video, guys, make sure to hit the like button to support my channel. Leave me some feedbacks in the comments. Do you like it? What do you want to see more? What topic do you want me to discuss? And make sure to subscribe to help my channel grow and spread all the knowledge I'm providing you. Thank you for staying up until now. I really appreciate it, and see you on my next video.